Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. We will continue to take all necessary measures to defend NATO territory. Now, that's the message from NATO's Supreme Allied Commander Europe, General Alexis Grinkevich, after a Russian Kh-101 cruise missile carrying a significant explosive payload crashed nearly almost 100 kilometers inside Poland during Moscow's latest mass attack on Ukraine. Now, with Romania also shooting down 3 Russian drones in recent days, latest incidents are raising fresh questions about the security of NATO's eastern flank. Joining us now is Jacek Raubo, Director of Defence24 Analysis Unit. Good to have you back with us. Welcome.
Hello, and thank you for the invitation.
So, Jacek, let's talk about this missile. I mean, the Prime Minister of Poland has said in all probability this is a Russian missile. Mr. Sikorski has also said this. This is used exclusively by the Russians. But tell us a little bit more about the incident itself. I mean, almost 100 kilometers into Polish airspace. What does this tell us about our defenses, our air defenses?
There is one straight answer. We are very close to the modern battlefield where Russia is using a lot of cruise missiles and also unmanned systems, for instance, one-way strike systems. Therefore, we but also Romanians are highly threatened by some of them when we think about the mass assaults against our neighbor. So we touch the cruise missile threat, Kh-101. A typical cruise missile is a very difficult task for air defense systems. And we saw that it is also a big challenge, not only for the military field, but also for some kind of a non-military defense system. When we think about the readiness, when we think about alerting people and having the situational awareness inside other institutions. I'm not talking only about military, but also local authorities and also governmental side. But yeah, we are very close to war. The biggest war after 1945. I think in Europe it's a game changer when we think about the potential threats. And this is the answer for your question. We are very close to still continuing war fighting.
Mm-hmm. And that will definitely worry some people when you say that. At the same time, if we look at tell us a little bit more on the technical side. I mean, was this simply a navigational failure in this kind of cruise missile? Was this an accident in that sense? Or was it perhaps the Russians testing our own NATO defenses? What's the more likely scenario? Tell us a bit more.
It's a really great question, but on the other hand, I will be very careful with the answer. I think when we are observing and we are trying to understand Russian side, we need to take both scenarios, that Russia is intentionally trying to threat us and to use these lessons learned for their own purposes. I'm not talking only about taking some kind of assessments about our reactions. They are also using it for their active measures against our info domain. This is the first field we need to have in our mind when we are trying to understand this incident. The other is, of course, a malfunction that Russia is right now striking with a lot of these cruise missiles, and one of them can malfunction and change course and strike inside Poland, but also when we think about other incidents, it can be inside other states close to Ukraine. So right now I cannot predict which one is the most probable, but I think we need to have all of them, all the two scenarios in our assessments.
And also the assessment itself, I mean, it's going to appear to some people strange and maybe worrying as well. I mean, the distance that this cruise missile traveled, I mean, we put it anywhere between 80, 85 kilometers. I mean, that's quite a distance. It's not just 1 or 2 kilometers. So why then, the question is, why wasn't it maybe taken down earlier? Why wasn't it shot down earlier? Just give us a little bit more on what the reasoning do you think behind that is.
So there are two separate fields we need to cover to present the answer for this kind of a question. The first one is procedures and also other things connected with the status of Poland right now. We are not inside war. There is no dedicated law to war status. That's why commanders and also authorities need to work with peacetime procedures. And of course, right now there is a debate how to modify that and how to create a kind of a new phase for reaction. But this is the first problem. The second problem is that even if you are inside war status, it is impossible to strike all of their aerial targets, enemy aerial targets, so effectively that any square kilometer of your territory will be not threatened by that. Right now, of course, Poland is developing one of the most sophisticated air defense system in the whole NATO. But on the other hand, these systems are dedicated to defend some specific points like critical infrastructure, the main and key bases, crucial cities. That's why the reaction cannot be so effective in 100% of our territory. Of course, we have heard from the authorities, but also from the commanders, operational commander, sent this kind of message that we sent our assets. We have heard about F-16s, but on the other hand, it is impossible to defend this kind of the middle-sized state in Europe from all of the threats coming from this Russian assets. Here, of course, cruise missile, but in September last year, for instance, unmanned platforms.
Mm-hmm. And also the kind of language we're hearing now, we hear a lot of support coming from, just at the beginning I mentioned the NATO SACEUR saying, the head commander there, that everything will be done, measures taken to defend NATO territory. That sounds good, but what does that practically mean? I mean, the last time, I remember around last year with these violations, we had several more NATO partners bring in aircraft. Could you foresee something like that happening now? Also, Secretary General has said as well, a reckless act by Russia. What kind of, let's say, practical changes do you think are now going to come as a result of this?
Military planning based not on emotions, it is based on some kind of indicators they are taking from intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities. Of course, this kind of violation of Polish airspace will be placed in the debates of military experts, but also decision makers inside NATO, but not with the revolutionary moves aftermath. Why? Mostly because we are doing this with Eastern Century, with strengthening our partnership in the context of building these capabilities to counter different threats from the Russian sides, from Estonia to Romania. Of course, with Poland inside. But we are not able right now to present all of the measures NATO did from the last September, mostly because it is impossible to present that to our enemy. Here, I think we will have another strengthening of intel sharing, intelligence sharing between different NATO member states. Why it's so important? Why it's maybe much more important than sending another, fighter jets or even missile defense systems? Because we need to know why Russia did this kind of action against our territory. As we talked before, we need to accept both scenarios right now, that they did it intentionally, but also we need to think about potential malfunction of the system, of this cruise missile system. But on the other hand, intel sharing giving us important knowledge how we need to react for this kind of incident, because Russia will use that, and they will use for the different purposes. As I mentioned, active measures is in the middle of that. Therefore, I think the first step is that we will strengthen intel sharing. The second, of course, is taking these lessons learned to learn more about Russian tactics and also potential Russian threats. And it will be placed in the specific discussions between the commanders and also training field. So I'm pretty sure that this incident will have impact on the practical side of a military posture from the NATO members and also from this cooperation inside NATO, but it will be not like, I don't know, mass mobilization of the missile systems and place that on the first line of the Polish border. No, the sum of moves are much more covered, and we need to appreciate that right now we are cooperating with our partners in the context of, for instance, Eastern Century, and we still don't know, and I hope we will not have the full spectrum of our knowledge about Eastern Century capabilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another thing, I mean, we were talking about Russian tactics. I mean, at the same time, if we go to Romania, just a few days ago, we've also had successive Romanian forces shoot down, I think it was 3 Russian drones. I mean, also we had those crashes a few months ago as well. So it seems to be like this, I mean, this can't just be isolated. This seems a pattern. And another thing, we were lucky this time around in Poland, but this payload apparently that was on this missile, significant payload apparently. I mean, no one was injured, thankfully. But you take these sort of things and you just wonder, I mean, how is the alliance? I mean, we hear the statements, I get what you're saying, but I think, is there something more that Poland and its allies can do at this point with all of this?
I think there is no easy answer inside NATO, because we need to accept 32 NATO member states' perspective on Russia. And we know that it's very difficult to achieve this kind of consensus in the context of every NATO meeting or in every NATO summit. But on the other hand, I think this signal is coming from NATO toward Russia and is very important in the defense and deterrence posture against them. But on the other hand, Russia is a very big threat when we think about their acceptation of risk in policy against their neighbors, against other states. Look on the situation with, for instance, channel close to United Kingdom, where they did some kind of a test of their guns with nuclear munition, and they sent their naval assets there. So I think we need to be very patient, and we need to be very careful with any forms of reaction in mobilization of our public society, because they will try to use the different type of incidents for a long time, even after the, for instance, some ceasefire agreement with Ukraine. Drones, missiles, but even sabotage and also terrorist actions need to be placed in our mind when we think about the long-term relations with Russia. Russia is accepting high risk in their secret and covert operation, and also right now they are pushing this limits to use cruise missiles with potential military warhead, full kinetic warheads, 400 kilograms of this warhead payload. So it's a very difficult time for the commanders and decision makers, because, as I mentioned on the beginning of our discussion, we are still working with the peacetime procedures and peacetime methods. And on the other hand, our enemy, our potential enemy, is using that against us.
Yeah, so the latest there with this missile that has crashed in Poland, and as we said, many people will be analyzing this, and we'll see how this does develop. Look, thanks so much. Really appreciate all those insights, as always, having you here with us. Jacek Raubo there from Defence24. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching World Talks, but do stay right here on TVP World for more news and commentary. Goodbye.